Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of What Do You Need to Know to Move to Costa Rica? I'm Patrick Jager, joined as always with my good buddy Aaron Bailey, and we are here to help you today think through a question we get a lot. Why Costa Rica over Mexico? All kidding aside, they're both great countries. We love both of them. You almost bought a place in Mexico.
I've spent so much time thinking through this exact topic. I almost bought a couple of places in Mexico, and yet here I am in Costa Rica. So this is a topic near and dear to my heart, as I know it is to you as well.
Yeah, I mean, every time I'm in Mexico City, I will text you and say, why don't we move to Mexico City? Well, because Mexico City is 25 million people and this country is 5 million. And part of this was I wanted to get away from that. So these are the types of questions you have to ask, right?
Yes. It all depends on what you're looking to get out of life, right? Who are you? Where are you at? What do you want out of this move? So that's what we're here to help you explore.
Yeah, and full candor, we do this for a living. You know, we have a company, Your Puerto Vida, that can help you evaluate if Costa Rica is right for you. We won't help you evaluate if Mexico is right for you. We're not there yet. But for Costa Rica, we can do that. So now we're going to run through a list of kind of the most important topics to think through. Some, we would say, these are great for Costa Rica. Others, Mexico clearly wins out. Let's start. Where do you want to start? You pick.
I think the big obvious thing is just the scale and size of both countries. They're two completely different sizes and scopes, right? Mexico is so much larger. There are massive cities. There are small beach towns. Costa Rica is 5 million people, 5.5 million people. There's a core central capital city, and then there are smaller towns throughout the country. They're just not the same. You can't compare the size of Mexico, which is vast, to the size of Costa Rica. It's just not possible.
Right. You know, when you have a country that has multiple time zones versus a country that is a time zone,
right?
We have 5 of the 7 climates of the world. I think that Mexico has 6 of the 7. They have deserts. We don't have deserts. But like you said, it's the scale of them. You don't drive from Mexico City to the Yucatan. People don't just go for a weekend drive. Here, we can drive pretty much anywhere in the country if you want to get around for the weekend. So yes, size and scale. I personally picked Costa Rica because of the scale.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Me too, eventually. But I'll be honest, occasionally I think to myself, Costa Rica's small. Am I going to get bored here? I haven't so far. And I probably would be saying the same thing about Mexico in just, one specific place in Mexico. But, it's just a completely different world.
Well, let's hop to that location. I mean, from a proximity standpoint, one of the reasons that Costa Rica was interesting to me, in Mexico, people travel to the States and they travel down to Central America, but everything is a plane flight. We can drive to Panama. We can drive to Nicaragua. We could ostensibly drive to Belize or Honduras if we wanted to. We could even drive, I guess, to Colombia if we wanted to. It really depends on how much you want to drive.
You'd have to ship your car. But that's another topic. There's a Darien Gap. You're not allowed to drive about 100 miles between Panama and Colombia. It's jungle. We'll get into that in another video. Yeah.
Great. So, but I digress. We can drive to multiple countries. You're not going to do that so much in Mexico, but both have proximity to the States. Both have proximity to the Caribbean. Both have basically the same flight path to Europe in terms of hours. So, from that instance, you can get pretty much anywhere from either country.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. I'm going to go to one that I would favor Mexico in this, which is infrastructure. If I was looking for a country where I want to move where things are as seamless as possible to other North American or European cities and states or countries, Mexico has you beat. Huge highways, a very American style, all the same cable companies and phone companies, and you can basically live seamlessly like you did in the States. So if infrastructure is your thing, I would give that to Mexico. You
I might disagree. The infrastructure is bigger, obviously, in Mexico, and there are more choices for things like cell providers, mobile phone providers, things like that. But Mexico has quite a bit of infrastructure problems.
No, true. I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm saying if being as close to what you're used to is important to you,
maybe, yeah.
Especially when you start thinking about and this isn't really infrastructure, but if you start to think about things like shopping opportunities or the Americanization, yes. I want to get all my American brands.
Absolutely. Mexico has Costa Rica beat hands down.
Okay. Intra-country transportation. This is one that you wanted to talk about, and that's even a mouthful. Intra-country transportation.
Getting around in Costa Rica has its problems, challenges, of course, but it's so much easier. I'm in San Jose. If I want to pop over to the beach, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours. You can't do that in Mexico City. It is I think 8-hour drive to Puerto Vallarta or a flight. Yeah. There are internal flights in Costa Rica, and you can take them. They're really easy and cheap, but for the most part, you hop in the car and you just go, and you can get nearly anywhere. Well, you can get anywhere in a day, in a few hours or more. Mexico is just so spread out. To get from Mexico City to Guadalajara is a hike. To get from Guadalajara to Puerto Vallarta is a hike. You're either taking a flight or you're taking a very long car or bus ride.
I have friends that live in San Miguel de Allende, and they even flying into Mexico City and then driving up, they're like, that's about as long as I want to drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I agree. Okay. Next one for me, nature. Just natural engagement. I mean, you and I would both say hands down. I have friends that would disagree. They would say the beaches of the Yucatan, the fact that desert meets ocean in Baja. There are people that would way disagree but I think for you and I,
Costa Rica has 5% of the world's biodiversity. Everywhere you look is nature. I'm sitting in the middle of the city and I'm surrounded by green, lush mountains. There's just no comparing the access to nature and the stunning beauty of nature in Costa Rica versus Mexico.
Well, part of that too is the climate. The weather.
Right.
Like, we are a tropical country. We have one designation. It's tropics, and because of that, we have very consistent rain patterns. We have very consistent heat. Mexico, so much of Mexico is desert.
Yeah.
And if you like that, if you like heat, one of my paranoias, and I'm just going to call myself out on this, is water and access to water. I don't understand why people live in places like Las Vegas and Phoenix. I apologize if you're watching this and you live there and you're mad at me, but there's no water. The one thing I don't think we're going to run out of in Costa Rica is water. And that's why it's so green. And we have 5% of the world's biodiversity. The climate, and it's predictable.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah. It's the same weather all year round, plus rain or not rain. The weather here is just stunning. Mexico depends on where you're at. Like in Mexico City in December at 10 p.m. it is freezing cold. You need your coat. Not going to happen here in Costa Rica.
Well, I mean, they still will wear their Patagonias here, but you don't need them. But yeah. Oh yeah. In December in Mexico City, you need a Patagonia. It is cold because it's high. I mean, it's higher than Denver. Right. It's a very high altitude.
It is.
All right. I think we need to give a few here now to Mexico because we just did some shout outs. So let's.
We're going to get in trouble. We're going to get in trouble. We're going to get comments for these, Patrick.
No, I will fight people on these because these, Okay.
Let's say it. Just say it.
The food.
The food.
There's a reason Ava Longoria has a show finding Mexico, and every episode is a different part of Mexico with its own obscenely amazing food culture. We just don't have that here.
No, the food culture in Costa Rica is just not there. Even the international food scene in Costa Rica is not there. The food scene in Mexico, I'm going to cry because it's just so lovely. Here's where I'm going to get in trouble. I've had better Mexican food in Prague than in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
The Mexican food in Costa Rica is just not that good.
No,
it's sad.
When I flew home to Denver last, first thing I did is got Mexican food.
I am so jealous. I'm so jealous.
I agree. But that's not, again, you don't live in Costa Rica for Mexican food. But so cuisine. Mexico.
Cuisine. It's fine here, but Mexico. Yeah.
Let's do another one. Cultural engagement. I give it to Mexico. If you want, two of the best museums I've ever been in my life are in Mexico City. The ruins, when you can go and you can see, you can see Mayan ruins and Toltec ruins and Aztec ruins, and just the sheer scope, history, and scale, and thriving art scenes, like crazy
amazing
art scenes.
Amazing.
And historic art scenes, like the artisans of Costa Rica. There are several really beautiful things, but just the diversity of that in Mexico. So I would give that to Mexico too. So if you are moving,
without a doubt,
and culture is important, not like going to the theater, which you can. There's a wonderful theaters in Costa Rica and San Jose especially. But if the high end of the culture scene is important to you, Mexico.
Yeah, and the hip and trendy is totally Mexico, not Costa Rica.
No. And we're starting to discover more of it. You and I are a little out of the hip and trendy age category. Okay, let's give one back to Costa Rica. What would you say does Costa Rica have over Mexico? What's another category?
I think just the quality of overall life. The life in my life here in Costa Rica is relaxed. It's simple. It's pure. It's not go like Mexico City or any city in Mexico, or even like places like Puerto Vallarta, which are super touristy. My life here just flows and it's natural, and it just feels so much better to be here than when I go visit Mexico for a week. I get stressed out.
Well, I think that really goes down to kind of the priority here. Even when you go to the super, super touristy beach towns, they are nothing like a beach town in Mexico. Like Tamarindo, which to me is the most gringo beach town, high end in the country, or that area. It doesn't feel like Iztapa or Cabo, or it's not designed at that. Nothing has the same scale.
Right.
But the other things are from a quality of life. Because I agree with you. I think our quality of life is better, and we're biased. But crime, it's a much crime is not the same issue. Even if you look at where we are sandwiched between South American countries and Central American countries, all that have ties to organized crime and drugs and money laundering, and we just don't have that here at scale like you do in everywhere else in Central America and Mexico. It's a safer. I feel safe. There are neighborhoods I don't feel safe in, but there are neighborhoods in every town I don't feel safe in.
Absolutely.
But overall, I agree with you. The quality of life, is better. Let's give another one. This is one that was very important as a reason why we moved down, and that was healthcare. The healthcare system in Costa Rica, I would give it to Costa Rica, hands down. It's a great, both their public and private healthcare system. Yes, there's destinational healthcare or medical tourism in Mexico quite a bit, but there's a lot in Costa Rica, and it is growing quickly because it is just more of a regional hub. And again, size. It's much more manageable.
I've been in the ER in Mexico. It was fine. But if I had an emergency, I would much rather be in Costa Rica than in Mexico.
Yeah.
Don't ask why I was in the ER in Mexico. We'll save that for another video.
I was just about it. Okay. This is something that you wanted to make sure we talked about in the housing market.
Yeah. So there's differences here. As a foreigner in Costa Rica, you can just buy a house, no problem whatsoever. Just like your Tico, your Costa Rican neighbor. In Mexico, if you are 100 kilometers from the ocean or from a border, you have to put, which is a lot of the country, especially if you're at the beach, obviously, you have to buy through a land trust. And you still can own the property, but that just means you're jumping through a lot more hoops. You're engaging with an attorney that's going to charge you, I think, like $2,000 to $3,000 a year to maintain that trust. It's a lot more work that Costa Rica does not put you through.
Yeah, and I think again, that's not to dissuade you from buying if you move to Mexico, but I mean, tons of expats do all the time. But yeah, it goes back to what's your priority.
Right.
Taxes are cheaper here. Land values are higher. They don't turn around as fast. So if you own property here, you might hold on to it a lot longer because it's harder to sell, just the sheer number of people that are looking. Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the housing goes here. Here's one that I don't know if it goes. It goes here. I don't know. I don't have an answer to it. Cost of living.
I think Mexico's cheaper in many regards because the sheer size of the country, and they produce a lot that gets exported to the United States. And so Costa Rica imports so much that everything is just really, I think everything's more expensive in Costa Rica because it's imported.
Yeah, it's hubs. We talk about it all the time. It's the hub and spoke. Mexico City. Mexico is a hub. It's Maquiladora. It's NAFTA or whatever the new NAFTA is called. And here everything has to come by boat or by truck. Or by plane. Yeah. So that has to be part of your decision making. If you were on a fixed income, Mexico might be better. But again, you can't look at any of these questions in singularity. You have to look at it in totality. Are you willing to sacrifice a little higher cost of living to have a simpler quality of life in a smaller location where you don't need to fly from place to place if you want to explore? That's the type of thing you really need to think through. Yes, absolutely. So 2 more things I think it's important to think through, and these are rankings. And one comes from Internations, which is a big expat site. They rank Mexico number 1 for expats, and they rank us number 7. Okay. I think a lot of that has to do with just this list. Again, they are looking at it from food and culture and size of the expat community. The other ranking, though, is the World Happiness Ranking. And then the World Happiness Ranking, Costa Rica is almost always, of this region of the world, number 1 of this region, not of the world. Those are always like Scandinavia and a few Asian countries, but we're not talking that. So 2023, Costa Rica is number 16 in the world happiness and number 1 for Central and North America. Wow. Okay. Whereas Mexico is number 35. So more than double we are more than double happy from Mexico. I didn't say that right, but you get the gist. We get it, yeah. But like of this first round of countries we're gonna talk about, which is Mexico, Panama, and Portugal in terms of comparisons. We are 16, Mexico 35, Panama 40, Portugal 57 on the World Happiness
Says
rankings.
A lot.
I think that does.
Yeah.
Okay. So with all this in mind,
we love you, Mexico. We love you. I adore you, Mexico, but I just like Costa Rica better.
We like to visit you. We
Yes.
like to come and eat your food and go to your beaches,
experience the culture. Yes,
and then come home to a more chill way of life.
Exactly. Pura vida.
Pura vida. We want to hear from you. Mexico versus Costa Rica. Why are you thinking Mexico? What are your questions about Costa Rica? We are here to help you. That is all your Pura Vida is about, is helping you figure out if this is the right country, and if you do move here, help you thrive. Yes. So Aaron, how do they get a hold of us?
Hola. At yourpuravida.com. Email us. We seriously, just reach out and say hi. We would love to chat. Love to hear your story. Hola at yourpuravida.com. Find all of our blogs and our YouTube videos and all of our resources on our website at yourpuravida.com/links. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video, and shoot us a comment on these videos. We would love to hear. Do you want to move to Mexico? Do you want to move to Costa Rica? How are you thinking? Shoot us a comment. We would love to get a comment from you.
Yep. With that, as we always say, we look forward to seeing you again. Stay tuned. Look at all of our videos. And for today, Pura Vida.
Pura Vida.